just had a bunch of really mean things that she said about me. Even though I've never talked about her or even discussed her or even knew anything about her, she said some really mean things. Essentially, the video, Brian. I would actually like her to respond to all the mean things that she said. She made a lot of horrible allegations, too, that weren't true.
I don't know. I don't know if... Is this something you want to get into, or...
I mean, if that's what you want to spend...
I would like to get into it because you said some pretty mean things about me, and I didn't... What did I ever do to you? I didn't kick your puppy or anything.
Well, no, but I think you would probably agree, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if you decide to be on the internet and make content, then you're going to be subject to other people having an opinion on it, no?
Yeah, the great thing is, though, is that when I make commentary on what other people say, I don't lie and do my research. You lied multiple times.
What did I lie about?
About me.
Yeah,
well, you made here's the most serious allegation. You said that I had a belief that if men cheat and women cheat, that it's okay for men to cheat and not okay for women to cheat. Or, I'm sorry, vice versa. It's okay for men to cheat, not okay for women, right?
I don't know if it was...
Not only have I literally never said that once, the opposite, in fact, emphatically. You also pulled me in with red pillars, of which I'm not. I'm a Christian ethicist, right? You lied over and over and over because you didn't do any research whatsoever. And I would like you to answer as to why you think it's okay to lie about people on the internet who have never done anything to you.
Well, I certainly didn't lie, and you'd have to pull up the exact tweet where I'm naming you specifically.
I don't need the tweet. I have the clip. I sent it to Brian.
I know, but it has to be addressing who I'm talking about because you've had multiple male hosts.
You say my name, Andrew. You say my name, Andrew, and then go through and accuse me of these things.
Do I say Andrew?
Yes.
I don't know. Okay, we can pull it, and then maybe I'm not sure.
I mean, I need to pre Andrew. You sent it to me 20 minutes before the show. I didn't have time to review it. I have to pre-screen it before I show it live. Were you talking about Andrew Tate?
No, it could have been Andrew. No, it could absolutely have been Andrew Tate, and then there have been. Well, hold on, because you're asking a question. I'm not being allowed to ask it.
I'm referencing whatever, unless Andrew Tate is.
No, it could have been whatever. But I didn't know your name until I was coming on the show. To be honest, so if I said Andrew, it could have been me misspeaking because there have been other men that were hosting on here, and then it was a clip that I don't even know how old it was. I think it was a different studio as well. It was referring to one of the male, either host or guest, and I'm not sure what his role was.
That was me.
Okay, so then why would I say it about you if you didn't say it? There was a clip on this podcast with...
That's what's in question. I don't know why you would attribute...
Well, then I would have to find the clip in question, so that's not...
You don't have to, because I sent it.
No, I'm saying I would have to... Oh my goodness, this isn't a conversation. I'm saying I would have to find the clip that I was commentating on, because it is possible that maybe I said the wrong name, and if that's true, I would apologize. My intention is not to lie, but there was absolutely a clip that I saw on this podcast, and I don't know if it was a host or a guest, and the argument was that if and I don't think it was you, I think it was a younger host, and maybe he wasn't a host, maybe he was a guest, but he was saying that if a man was abusing his wife, that it was the wife's duty to seek counseling within the church and not divorce, but if the woman cheated, that would be grounds for divorce. That was the clip that was circulating. Is it possible that it got edited and what I watched was not true? And that's what I'm saying. If I was prepared, I could come with the clip that I was commentating on. And if the clip was inaccurate or if I missaid the name, I will apologize without any embarrassment whatsoever, because I don't want to misspeak or lie. That's not my intention. But I can't do that because I don't have the clip. I don't even have a phone.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't debunk this if we can't play it. But what I am going to say is this: it's it definitely was an attribution and a mischaracterization of anything I've ever said, and total nonsense. So yeah, I did want to get into it, but if we can't get into it, we can't get into it.
Yeah, and again, I don't think I was saying it about you because I don't know the guy's name. He's clean cut, younger dude.
They could have just been me without a beard.
No, I'm sure it wasn't you because the guy, he looked like he was in his 20s.
Okay. And his name was Andrew.
I don't know that I don't have the clip, so I can't say it. And if I said Andrew, it could have been me just using the wrong name because I literally had my producer send me little bios of you guys before I came here.
You said, and quote, those guys who host that show, right, they like nothing better than to be in a room so that they can abuse women and you'll never see them debating with men.
Well, and you would say that there have been good conversations on the internet with you that are treating women with respect. That's what this podcast is known for, is really reasonable conversations where everyone is mutually talking to each other with respect.
Yeah, that has not. Let's assume for a second everybody's always fighting on here and yelling at each other and screaming at each other. So what? That has nothing to do with your claim that the men on here would much rather be sitting across from women and debating with women because they're essentially you're inferring that they're a bunch of cowards. And here's the thing that's so funny: it's like I actually am quite famous for debating men around the world, especially on these topics, right? It's in some ways, right? I've been accused of it's not dignified enough for me to give you guys even the time of day. Yet I think that is actually a very mean-spirited thing to say. I think that you guys deserve, if you have arguments and things like that, to have them heard out. That almost seems like it's anti-misogynistic to me, and that you have a misogynistic position.
Well, I don't believe that that's true at all. I don't think that you're genuinely here to like listen or change opinions on anything, and because that doesn't make good content.
Thousands upon thousands of opinions. It may not change yours, but remember that these clips and views go out to millions of people, and the idea is not. And this is every debate which exists, by the way. The idea is not necessarily to change the opponent's mind. The opponent is there to represent their worldview, and I'm here to represent mine. It is not necessarily to change your mind, though that has happened too. It ultimately is to put our worldviews against each other and see which one makes more sense, at least to the general public. So, yeah, I think I've changed tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of minds even.
Sure, but I mean, to push back on the idea that you would be accepting of having men on the show, there have been multiple times, and for example, there was a Navy SEAL friend of mine that was supposed to come on the show with a girl to do the debate, flew in, and was turned down at the door after they paid for all of their expenses. And I've heard several of those stories. And then I was supposed to come on with a friend too, who is former special ops. He couldn't come on because he ended up having to shoot a movie. We were going to replace him, and they're like, actually, no, we don't want any men. And if you want, you could bring a girlfriend. So, I mean, that's not entirely honest either.
I've debated many men on the show.
Hold on, Andrew. Let me address that. So let's address your first point. Who came on who was turned away from the door? Literally never happened. Totally fake news, but who was it? Oh,
I don't have the name. It was like a friend of a friend, and I
so
guess
just to be clear,
it's a SEAL that's going around and saying that.
We booked a Navy SEAL.
So it didn't happen?
Yeah, I mean, so you're claiming we booked a Navy SEAL. He showed up at the door.
That's what I heard.
He was scheduled to be on the show.
With a female,
a female, and he was turned away.
Yeah.
This is entirely fake news. Do you know who the girl was?
No, and then I also heard, from like 1 Degree Away, and I'm not gonna like say his name, but that he's had friends come on the show and like their mic was muted the whole time, and or that the content gets edited in a way to like make them look bad.
Well, hold on, we can address some of those different arguments, but let's start with the one of us turning a Navy SEAL away at the door. First off, are you sure he was booked? Because sometimes women will show up with a dude.
No, I'm not. And maybe that was misunderstood.
Like, girls will show up with like a +1 that wasn't cleared by us, and we're like the only people who we allow in the building have to be scheduled to be on the show. Sometimes girls will bring their boyfriends, and they'll try to like, oh, can I hop on the show? I don't even think I've talked to a Navy SEAL and I do all the guest booking. Okay. So I'm very close and familiar to who does and does not come on the show. This is entirely fabricated.
Okay.
So I don't know why some Navy SEAL, you'd assume this is a person of good moral character, is lying about being booked on the show.
Clip I sent you, that particular accusation, she makes it in the clip.
I saw the clip.
This person, showed up at the door, everything was paid for, they were invited, this type of thing, totally fabricated.
Absolutely fabricated.
Here's why I take issue with it, right? To be fair. Why is it that I'm not allowed to ask you, like, did you ever even reach out to Brian to confirm that? Did you ever do any research on it before you decided that you'd put that out there to thousands upon thousands of people? You didn't even bother, right? You didn't even bother to even ask about it. You just put it out there. And it's like, So of course I consider that to be slanderous and lying and nonsense, right? Because, I mean, did you do any due diligence to verify?
How many episodes do you have men on that have opposing opinions? So it's just pattern recognition. So if me saying that you don't have men on debate, you don't have men on debate. Look at the table right now. You don't have men on to debate.
Yeah, how's that relevant to the actual false accusation?
No, it's relevant to saying that you don't have men on to debate. And
we've had Destiny's, who's like one of the strongest left-wing
That's one person,
debaters.
so it's almost like that exception is actually proving the rule. Like if it was normal that you would have,
I mean, that's the format of the show.
Sure, exactly though. So why is that the format?
How does that?
But why is it always just women?
But okay, how does that pertain?
Not always just women.
It's usually just women. The other thing is the exception.
Hold on, we brought on Bevo. Well, hold on, Bevo's not a good.
I've done a multitude of debates on whatever between myself and men, just by ourselves in the studio, in fact. And there's been other times where there's been men on these panels, and I'm happy to debate them. I debate with men all over the world.
Use stats, right? What % are men?
We need a spreadsheet.
But how does that pertain to the false accusation? Like that's a totally.
It's a red herring.
Yeah, I don't know if it's shifting the goalposts or whatever, but I mean, I'd almost be prepared to do a wager here. If you can provide any sort of evidence, mind you, I've spoken to thousands of people, right? Mm-hmm. I'm so confident that this is totally fabricated and made up, that a Navy SEAL showed up at our door, we had him on schedule, and then we're like, oh, actually, no. You spent all this money to come here, never happened.
Okay, I mean,
show me the evidence, show me the
I'm happy to inquire about it for sure.
Show me the proof.
Yeah.
I will pay. You know what? Do you want to do a wager on this? I'm ready to do a wager.
No, I'm not betting because I mean I have no idea. I don't have skin in the game.
He's just joking around, right? We're on YouTube. Brian would never make a wager. What he's saying is like he's just so confident in.
I'm very confident.
That he was being a bit tongue-in-cheek there, but ultimately that's why I wanted to address this, because I'm like, well, okay, like how many fabrications has this girl made about this podcast and about its host that are just completely not true, but then they get out in the ethos like they are true.
Well, no, and then so anecdotally speaking, obviously that doesn't say anything at scale, but I think the first time I was invited on the show was probably like 2 or 3 years ago, and it was in response to a clip that I had going, was called Canceled Weekly with Gerard Michaels and Mickey Gall.
Sure.
And the response was to have me come on, but not the other two co-hosts that were male. And so that
I'll look at the message history and
I don't know if it was to me or Gerard, if like there was a group, I'm not sure.
Sure.
But like the invitation was extended to them, and then when JT was supposed to come and then that got canceled, then the response was
got canceled by him.
No, yeah, for sure.
We had, just to be clear, we had you and him.
Yeah, not canceled by him. Or no, I'm sorry, not canceled by you, by him. Yeah, absolutely.
So we were prepared to have him and you on the show. Mm-hmm. He canceled, and then we were like, well, do you still want to come? Fine, you didn't want to do it. But I reached out. You reacted to this clip of me having a back and forth with this obnoxious woman who came on intentionally to troll the show, and I had to kick her off the show. But as it pertains to the kind of initial reach out, which was back in February of 2024, you said you wanted to be a guest, but the stipulation is the guys have to be able to join. And I said we could accommodate one of your male guests. So we didn't outright deny them, but I was like, well, we can have one. We typically only like to book 2 people together.
Okay.
It's just kind of our policy.
And here's my further challenge. You can get anybody who you want who has issues with any of my views who's a man. You can stack that whole panel. I'll fly out there and debate all of them in person happily. Then here's exactly what'll happen. Nothing. They'll all lose the debate. I'll laugh hysterically. That'll be. It's a perfect day. Like go let them know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to like actually, and if you want to verify this, but in March I said we could accommodate one of your male co-hosts, and I asked if you primarily want to debate the kickoff of that one girl who came on and trolled. To which you didn't respond. I checked in a week later, checked in 2 weeks later. Hey, just wanted to follow up one last time, see if you're still interested. Did not hear from you until September of 2024. Wanted to see if there's still an invitation. JT, he wants to come on. And then, let's see, we locked you in for, or wait, hold on. When did we lock you in for? Oh, we were in a group chat, so I don't see.
It disappeared, I think.
We were in a group chat, so I don't see and then we shifted the conversation over there. We had you scheduled at some time in the fall. He canceled a week prior because of a movie. I don't know, whatever. Not a big deal. People have to reschedule. Not a big thing. But I think that would indicate that we were prepared to have a male guest on.
The clip title it says Andrew Wilson Cringe. Just so you know, my name is Andrew Wilson, and there's never been, to my knowledge, another Andrew Wilson on the Whatever
don't make
podcast.
the
I'm
clips.
just letting you know that the clip is called Andrew Wilson Cringe. It sure seems like you are referencing me. If it's called Andrew Wilson, I'm just...
That's the editor, unless my mouth said your name, which I don't think it did.
It did.
Here.
I mean, it did. It said Andrew, and then it says Andrew Wilson Cringe. It's
Okay,
like,
so I was probably talking about Tate, and then the editors probably put your name. I have no idea because I don't have the clip.
Why
and
would
again,
you be referencing Tate?
I don't know. I don't have the clip. I don't have the clip.
Okay.
And I'm pretty.
Okay. Look. Sorry, guys. I mean, I don't want to linger too long on the meta conversation because it's, whatever. And wait, just really one thing.
Yeah.
Just Andrew, he wants to pull up the clip. You said that there were like other people who, like, we kicked them out or like we, like, denied them at the door.
That's what I heard. Yeah. From like a friend.
We denied them at the friends.
Like it was my friend's friend, and like he didn't see them like a liar. So yeah.
Wait, so just so I understand the situation correctly, we had him on schedule. Like he showed up.
That was what was.
No, but he showed up, and we're like.
That's what I was told.
Sorry.
That's what I was told. That it was only like only the woman was allowed on. So yeah,
never happened.
Okay.
Never happened. If you can.
I can't argue because I don't have any. I don't have anything, so I'm not arguing. I feel like we're like trying to make an argument when I'm saying I don't have an argument.
No, I'm not really arguing with you. I just want to clear the air.
Yeah, I'm not.
I think it would be kind of rude to like invite somebody on. They spend money to come here, and then we're just like, oh. You know,
I know.
Like we've never done that.
It sounds crazy.
That would be super fun.
We've never done that. Never. I mean. I mean, there's like opposition.
Fact, I can give you a story of a time where there's been regret. Like Brian's like, maybe I shouldn't have invited this person, but man, they spent this money to come out here, so I'm going to let them on anyway, right? Like that's more Brian's attitude than the alternative.
Yeah. Anyways, I don't know why people are making up these lies. I'd be curious to see. I mean, you don't have to show me, but obviously not now on the podcast. But I'd be curious to see the actual basis for these claims because it's completely dubious and false. But and also like I mean, I don't know. Anyways, whatever. Why don't we just play the clip and then we'll move on to the next thing.
This is not
320p
that I'm talking about.
Go ahead, just play it.
And I'm pretty sure I've seen
Boost the audio.
Speak on this is if a woman cheats or if she's unfaithful because her man's not, then he should just leave her, right? So a guy's allowed to exit the relationship, and her behavior is never justifiable.
Here, I'll do it.
If he cheats, nothing but compassion, she deserved it. So just super hypocritical. Duty sex is terrible, but also don't weaponize it. So it's a this and thing, and you have to check in with it. And I'm curious how long any of these people have been married and how many children they have and how happy they are, because there's also this idea that no matter what, you have to stay in a relationship, especially if there's kids. And I don't know that that's true. I think that they deserve to see their parents in love, and if you can't make that happen, I think there are way worse things by sticking it out for the kids. That's something I've kind of come around on as well. So I don't know. I hate this person so bad. We were actually supposed to go, me and a friend go on the show. I don't think it's going to happen because we did some due diligence, and they in the past have brought on a Navy SEAL. He flies all the way to Northern California to do the show. Knock, knock. Actually, we don't want to have you on. And it's because if you bring on a man, especially an alpha, these guys cannot stand it. They cannot stand it. All they want to do is sit across from women and bully them and badger them and dunk on them. And it's just an excuse to exercise actual sexism. And I don't use that word a lot because I don't think that it is as prevalent as it used to be and as much of a problem. But with this community, it absolutely is. Please don't get your relationship advice from there. Like, look for healthy, healed, whole, masculine role models. This is not it. If you are blaming half of the population for all of your problems and the answer is it's always just women, it's always just e-girls, it's always whatever, you might be the problem, buddy.
So this was on duty sex. This wasn't on the beating or the divorce or cheating. I think that was in reference to a duty sex tweet.
Yeah, got it. It was.
That's not what we were talking about earlier, though. We weren't talking about duty sex earlier.
It's referencing me, and the position is actually incorrect. Again, the referent is wrong.
Do we have your tweet on duty sex?
Incorrect. What's that?
Do we have the tweet that was on duty sex?
Yeah, so this is what you're referencing is we're talking from a Christian paradigm. So from a Christian, it's not a statement that women have or don't have duty sex. It's a statement from the position of the Christian or the Muslim paradigm, or let's say, X paradigm, that within that paradigm there is a duty that women have to fulfill the obligation of the marriage. And part of that would be sex, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah, it just seems like we're talking about different things, because initially we were talking about abuse and cheating and divorce, and then now we're circling to duty sex. And then when I see Rachel Wilson in the comments, I don't make my titles. I don't think anyone does. So when it says that, that's not me. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, but you said you did your due diligence. We did our due diligence. We checked into this, and the whole thing's. What due diligence did you do?
I'm commenting on a tweet on duty sex. That's what I was doing.
Yeah, no. You said we did our due diligence when it came to the Navy SEAL and this type of thing.
My due diligence was asking references that I trusted. So, I mean,
Why
if you're
didn't you
saying...
ask Brian? Wouldn't that be your due diligence?
Well, no, it wouldn't, because if I don't believe that he's an honest actor,
Right,
because we've never met before, and all I've seen is like
Wait, can I ask you one? Yeah. Can I ask you one question?
Well, no, every time you ask me a question, I get cut off, and then if I try to talk, then you guys are like, no, let me finish.
Look,
so it's different
talked
rules
way
for
more
everybody.
than we have, just so you know. But go ahead.
You're asking what my due diligence was, and I was saying that I asked people that have said that they were either on the show, came on the show, their experience.
Mm-hmm.
So it's people that I would know or trust. So to reach out to someone that I already kind of see as a position of being in an adversarial position, like there's not really there's not trust built. So if you say something, I don't know you or your character.
Yeah,
so
that's totally
it's not
fine. I mean, just one question though. Did you hear it directly from the said Navy SEAL?
I can't say. I'm not.
No, but like sometimes
throwing people under the bus.
A friend told you that they knew somebody who knew a Navy SEAL. Like, was it?
I can't, because it's going to give people away. I know. I'm sorry, but,
No, but
it's not.
I'm not asking who it is. I'm just asking. Did you hear it from the person?
I know, but the line of questioning is going to like throw certain people under the bus, and I'm not.
I mean, they threw me under the bus, but that's fine. Whatever. In any case,
don't even like reporters. When
I'm not a reporter.
Have a story that they're commenting on.
I've never claimed to be a reporter.
Contact the source and verify it. Like, just ask them, hey, did this even happen? Like, how hard would that have been? If it's due diligence, like, how hard would it have actually been to just say, hey, did this actually happen?
I guess we disagree on how I should have approached it, and that's fine.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm guessing that you would not appreciate me putting a video out to hundreds of thousands of people, which was filled with besmirching lies about you, if I didn't do my, quote, due diligence. And maybe, like, I would have just DM'd you. I'd have been like, hey, is this actually true? Like, is this actually what's going on? And then I get the other side of the story, right? I'm sure you would actually appreciate that more, wouldn't you?
I mean, I would, absolutely. But if I have full trust in someone else and they tell me something and they've done nothing to allude to the fact that, like, I need to be doubting what they're saying, then, like, why wouldn't I believe them?
Because you did your due diligence.
I guess,
that's what it means, right? Due diligence. But anyway, all right.
I mean, also just to, like, I guess, provide you with an opportunity to potentially even verify the story. Mm-hmm. Like, if you want to get up and, like, text the individual and be like, hey, is this, like, do you have any evidence for this? Like, what were the
I can ask, exchanges? And then I can ask if he's willing for me to share it. Sure, I could do that. I'm happy to.
I mean, I feel like it would be important for a Navy SEAL to, like, that seems kind of like a position of I don't know. Integrity, honor.
Position.
Like, he should clear this up.
I agree.
I think he should clear it up.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't know.
Sure.
That seems fair.
Yeah, I'm willing to text.
Like,
I'm willing to text the person. Yeah.
That seems reasonable, but
yeah.
I mean, I can tell you. Just. Totally.
Yeah, I'm not trying to argue. I'm willing to ask.
That's totally fine. Yeah, that's totally fine. But and you said there were, like, other people who also got turned away. I was curious about that too.
It was the same person. Not the same individual. Like, the same person like was putting feelers out, and they've had I don't know the girls' names, but, like, a bunch of, like, their girlfriends have come on, and, like, they were sharing stories with him, and then, like. There was a couple stories where guys got turned away, but it could have been what you were saying, right? Where they weren't approved and they weren't supposed to be on the show in the first place.
I mean, we get dozens of messages a day of people requesting to be on the show.
Well, no, like
so when it comes to Yeah, but I mean, we turn people down if they DM us, hey, can I come on the show? We send them a very thoughtful message. Like, we don't just like, most people would just ignore DMs like that. Every single person who DMs us, even if we're not interested in having them on the show, we say, hey, unfortunately at this time, we, can't have you on, it's a little more diplomatic than that, but can't have you on the show, but we'll keep your DMs. If anything changes, we'll be sure to reach out. So we turn people down like in the DMs, but we've never had somebody like booked to be on the show, and then they come to the studio at the door, you can't be on the, never has happened ever. Hasn't happened to a male, hasn't happened to any women.
Sure,
So,
I appreciate you clarifying. I'm like I said, I'm happy to do
Actually, you know
the text.
what? There was one woman who she showed up unannounced with a service animal. It was like a chihuahua. That was not a service animal. And I was like, and it was barking. It was barking. And normally we would try to accommodate somebody with a service animal, but it was clearly not a service animal. It was not trained to do a certain task, and it was barking, which would not be a reasonable accommodation. Like, we're recording audio. We can't have a barking dog in the studio. So in that instance, we did turn her away, although we did offer her, like, she came with a friend. I was like, can your friend watch the dog? That's the only instance where we're just like, we can't have the barking dog in the studio, and we turned her down. That's the only that's come to we've ever turned anybody away, and for good reason. But yeah.
Again.
All right, whatever.
Yeah.
We have a couple chats. Unless Andrew, you wanted to, was there more there, or I don't know.
Yeah, I did just want to point out, like, I do have a video in front of me. You have my tweet up, right? That's the referent. You're definitely talking about me, but you're literally misappropriating the position, even in the tweet. And then you go on to say that basically Andrew's a beta male. Don't listen to him. Don't listen to these guys. They're awful. They don't know blah, 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 right? But the thing is like, when you're talking about viewpoints, you're talking about from the view up. Right? So if I was going to reference a view that you had, and say, from your view, is XYZ true? Why is it true? I understand why. And then I would always make the reference to the Christian worldview. I'd say, here's why it's true from the perspective here. You would then go maybe back and forth, and you could say, hey, the Christian view is wrong, and here's why, et cetera, et cetera. In this case, though, you didn't even reference that the tweet was from the view of the Christian view.
I didn't know that.
Reference it. Yeah, right. But again, due diligence. Do you know that you could have just?
Well, the due diligence.
Like, hey, what's this?
We're meshing up so many things in this one argument. So we started with me talking about the clip. I thought we were talking about a totally different clip initially when we first started this interaction. So I thought that's why I thought I was thinking. Well, Rachel is saying that I'm like intentionally lying. I'm saying I didn't know which clip we were talking about. It's not intentional. I thought we were talking about that one younger co-host that I think you used to have, talking about cheating and abuse specifically in regards to divorce, and then the discrepancy there. That was a totally different clip that I'm now realizing we weren't. No, I know. I'm just establishing that I'm not intentionally lying. There's just confusion as to what content we're talking about. Moving on to the tweet about duty sex, if you're talking about this and there was more context, like obviously things get taken the wrong way in a tweet. So if there's like more interpretation that you have in regard to duty sex, happy to hear whatever your take is on that. The way that I read that tweet was that basically
from a Christian view.
Well, it could be Christian, but there's wives
and husbands have a duty to sleep with each other from a Christian view. Yes.
No, and I would agree with that.
You can find this in Paul when he's talking about depriving, right? Depriving each other sexually. He says that's a no-go. In Christian view, there's counseling which revolves around this specifically, that neither party is to deprive the other party of this thing. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is not something that I even think is a controversial view, right? But it's being mischaracterized here, and the reason you're mischaracterizing it is because you're trying to make it seem like Andrew Wilson's a monster, and what he's trying to do is say that women have an obligation to have sex at the demand of their husband. And it's like, well, that's not only such a mischaracterization, but we could have cleared it up in 5 seconds. You could have just asked, And I would have been like, here's actually what's going on.
You know what you're doing when you're tweeting too, which is why you're successful and why you have a big account and why you get so much engagement. So like there is a little bit of that edge when you are going to a tweet. So it's not like I just fell into this tweet and intentionally misrepresented you and it was like a blatant mischaracterization.
So what you're saying is that it was a bait tweet. You felt
No, I'm saying that you're very good at what you do. I'm saying you're very good at what you do and you're good at ruffling feathers and you know that people like
me. You couldn't have fallen for the bait, though, if you had done your due.
We're not doing due diligence on a tweet, sir.
Why not?
Because it's a tweet, right? It's black and white text right there, and if you do something that
it's black and white.
If there's
now there's more context.
Well, no, there's not context. Well, now that you have like more characters available, but there's not, especially if there's a shorter tweet, right? You want it left open to into interpretation. That's the whole point. Good job, right? It worked.
Due diligence would be like, wait, what did you mean by this, right?
No, because
I do got to move it on.
Okay.
I do got to move it on.